Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Lacey. I'm the owner of Milky Candles and I make videos about life in my 30s. I've been wanting to do this video for a long time, which is if I started my business today, what would I do? Here are 8 things that I wish I knew earlier. Quick pause, if you're into content like this, don't forget to give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you're not already. I'm obsessed with my analytics and it just helps me see what you do and what you don't enjoy watching. This video is strictly my experience, and so I will be talking a lot about candle making, so let's get into it. If I were starting today and I've already registered my business name, which means I already have an employee identification number, then I would set up multiple bank accounts. There are lots of bank accounts that would be beneficial for you to set up, like different types of bank accounts, but the 3 that I would start with would be 1 just for your general checkings, which would be anything that you are spending, whether it's on materials, whether it's on shipping. Many people would separate those, but just we're talking about if I had started over. I would set up a separate savings account for taxes, not official financial advice, but you should probably be setting aside about 30% of whatever you're making so that you're ready for tax season. And then my other savings account would actually just be for any kind of emergency. For example, I was making cement vessels and then all of a sudden for 2 months straight, all of my vessels were cracking. I was completely running out of inventory and I didn't have any money set aside for that. So guess where I had to dip into? I had to dip into my tax money. So now I am putting more money aside for taxes now than I should be because I didn't have any kind of like emergency. I had to dip into that money for like a rebrand because, well, couldn't sell cracked vessels and I was getting sick of cement. The second thing that I would do over is I would try not to launch every single season. I think in my first year, I would really just stick to winter scents, the holiday season, because that is gonna be your main moneymaker. It's pretty much the only season that you can feel confident in spending your money on materials, raw materials, and get that money back. I have found that spring, summer, those are definitely my slower months. Fall is slower than winter, but it definitely is starting to pick up momentum, specifically because people just go crazy for fall and winter scents. It's just the vibe. So if I were in my first year of business, I definitely would stick to the colder months when it comes to making sure that I have seasonal launches ready. That's not to say that you can't launch anything during spring and summer, but I would minimize what that would be. Not official business advice, just a suggestion. If I were starting today, the third thing that I would do is I would go and find as much free supplies as I possibly could. USPS.com, order myself some shipping boxes. Anytime you order materials from anywhere, Candle Science, Flaming Candle Company, California Candle Supply, Uline, anywhere that you are ordering materials from, save all of those packing materials. Save the bubble wrap, save the big air bubble things that they use to fill space, save all your packing peanuts, save it all. As long as it is in good condition. I have a big trash bag. No, we're classier than that. I have a big trash can in my office that has never been used for trash. It's always been used for packing peanuts. And so anytime I get an order from Candle Science or any of the others that I mentioned, they go straight in there. And those are perfect to use on boxes that are not USPS flat rate because they weigh a lot lighter. If I were starting today, if I ordered new materials, I would be saving all of that packaging. The fourth thing that I would do is I would build anticipation. I would put it on YouTube, I would put it on Instagram, I would put it on TikTok, Reels, stories, shorts, you name it. Post about it and get excitement before you do something. That could be launching your whole business. It could be launching a new line. It could be launching something for the season. It's also helpful to give people time to save the date essentially and put a little bit of cash aside to make sure that they're supporting you because they probably want to if they're already following you. I find that when I hype something up before I post it or before I launch it, I get a lot more success. That even comes with my YouTube videos. If I make a post on my community about, hey, this video is coming up tomorrow, don't forget to look out for it, I get significantly more interaction than if I just post it out of nowhere. That's the same for your launches. Hype it up, be proud of it. remind people. That includes putting polls on your Instagram stories or on YouTube. Engagement, engagement, engagement. Something about the algorithm, but it works. Fifth thing that I would do if I were starting today is I would allow myself to be open to feedback. Even though it's my baby, my business is my baby, I want to be open to hearing about what has worked for others and what could potentially work for me. However, the difference is I'm not gonna let it dictate all of my decisions. There are so many candle scents that people will email me or DM me about because they love those candle scents, but that same candle scent was being sold for 8 months and I only sold 2 of them. I'm aware that people don't buy candles as often as like maybe someone like me, but based on my other sales, I can tell you that 1 candle scent being purchased in the 8 months that it's been up, gotta go, my guy. Obviously, there's a lot more testing in that, but that's just an example to show you that there will always be people who have something to say, and you can take it, process it, and figure out whether it's gonna benefit you or not. I've had people tell me that I shouldn't specify what my skin color is about my company, or I shouldn't specify that I'm queer because it's gonna deter people, or who cares because it's a woman-owned brand. I mean, I've heard it. So I'm always open to feedback, but I'm always going to process it and make sure that it actually works best for me. And sometimes I don't know. Sometimes I test it and it's great. Sometimes I test it and it's bad. It's all a learning curve, but just make sure that everyone's feedback is not swaying you on all of your decision making. Take it and process it. The 6th thing that I would do if I were starting today, which probably wouldn't be today, but maybe it would be like this year, is if I were going to do any sort of collaborations, I would take my time and I would research what other people have done in their collaborations and what they suggest. I also might even reach out to other small business owners that I know and that I've met at markets or whatever it may be, and that we've built some kind of a relationship with or a networking relationship with, and ask for a little bit of advice. Again, whatever they say, you're gonna take it and process it, but there are people out there who might have a different idea that you've never even thought of. And a lot of people are gonna tell you to make sure not to sell yourself short. I've done a few collaborations now, and at this point, I know that I sell myself short. I don't know what it is, but I'm uncomfortable with asking for a certain price because my product is handmade by me, which is a reflection of how I view myself. And that is definitely something that I should probably be working on in therapy. Neither here nor there. You are worth pricing your product at whatever you think your product deserves. I had a company who tried to sneak in and tell me that, obviously there would be no problem if I were to be flexible with my pricing, my wholesale pricing, if a certain client wanted it. And it wasn't a question, it was a statement. And I, in that moment, was like, oh my gosh, of course. But I processed it, and later I said, this is my price. This is what my product is worth. You're also not just asking for a wholesale order, but you're asking for a custom order, which is very different because I am customizing something for you, which means I'm using materials that I won't be able to use for anything else, which should cost more money because I have to buy those materials in smaller portions, which is more expensive. And they didn't want to pay for it, so we didn't go through with it. Shortly after that, another collaboration fell in my lap, and I was ready to do it because they were willing to pay me what I know my stuff is worth. I even was gonna work with a really big company that has a couple of these places throughout the nation, but there's one here in Phoenix, Arizona, and they wanted me to come teach a class. They were going to give me, I don't remember what they called it, but essentially they were gonna give me, a stipend is what they were gonna give. The stipend was smaller than the fee that they were going to charge me to teach the class. That they had reached out and asked me to teach the class because they needed a position that was filled in the family community section of what they did. I tried to explain to them that their math didn't work, that they were asking me for more money than they were willing to pay me, and so immediately I'm already starting negative. They kept telling me that they were flexible and willing to work with me, and then I gave them a number and I said, this is what I need to walk out with, profit, and if you cannot provide that for me, then I am not going to be part of this because this is my job. This is my income and this is how I pay my bills. They never reached back out. Don't budge just because you feel guilty. Somebody else will do it for them, and if not, that's their problem, not yours. The 7th thing that I would do if I were starting today is I would try really, really hard to get my little calendar, and I would make sure that I am actually staying at least 2 seasons ahead in what I'm planning. Because here we are in July and I still have yet to launch a summer line. And I don't think I'm gonna do a big launch. I think I'm gonna launch 2 or 3 scents. I'm only gonna make a couple of them. They're gonna be in the same color vessels as the ones that I already have, so I don't have to worry about having like new product that's gonna go to waste after the launch. I'm gonna keep it clean, small, get some summer stuff out there. Sometimes it's better late than never, but I have had a hard time staying ahead of the game because honestly, ideally, I would be making summer scents in the winter, and my winter scents would have been finished the summer prior. So something that I really need to work on is making sure that I am like 2 steps ahead of my own timing. What I'm doing now is making sure that I get in a habit of tracking in my planner when I launch something. I think that that's gonna be helpful, but what I need to make sure that I do when I get my new planner for 2024 is I'm gonna make sure that I go throughout my planner and just kind of write down the general, this is the month that I launched X, Y, and Z, and go a couple months ahead and make a little note on that month and say, start making this launch. So that I know not only when I launched it last year, but also if I want to get ahead, this is when I should start making it. That will be a little hard if you're just starting today. So my suggestion would be get ahead of your time and record in some sort of calendar when you launched it so that you can have something to look off of for next year. The last thing that I would do if I were starting today is I would make sure I had pretty good backstock. Vessels, wax, fragrance oils are not usually sold out. So fragrance oils I would be personally more flexible on, but there's a lot of stuff that I try to get that is sold out because y'all are quick. So sometimes a wholesale order will come through and I don't have the materials for it, and so I have to let them know that it's going to be pushed back. And it's not pushed back for very long, and they're always okay with it, but the reality is it makes me feel unprepared, and I don't like to feel unprepared. Getting a good backstock is hard when you're just starting because you don't have the funds quite yet. You barely even have the funds to like purchase your raw materials that you're just starting with, but something that you feel deep in your heart that you are going to use year after year after year, get them in bulk. I don't always recommend buying everything in bulk, but get those things in bulk. That would be boxes, that would be wicks, that would be wick stickers, warning labels, the kind of stuff that you know you are always gonna use, regardless of what changes you have in your business. That is all I have for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love you even if you don't love me back. So many of you that watch my videos are not subscribed, so like, I don't know what you're doing with your life, but we have fun over here, so stay a while. I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.